Hi everyone, this is Rita Holmes, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up here in Ohio, and I am bringing you a video tonight that of a fun fold card that I thought you might like to see. So I'm bringing up my iPad so I can make sure that I have you all in focus on my table. So before I get started, I just want to let you know that these are my cards. I'm going to show you. This is a sample. This is the one we're going to do tonight, the one with the Plentiful Plants stamp set. I do want to say that I do have a group called Stamp Crazy VIP on Facebook where I do the live videos every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. And I have my own little store for Stampin' Up at ritaholmes.stampinup.net. If you do not have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I can get that out. I would love to help you with that, or if you would like to become a demonstrator yourself and maybe get a discount, I would like to help you with that too. But in the meantime, if you wouldn't mind to either share this video as you're watching it or give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, whichever one. I prefer thumbs up, as you might know, but if you give me a thumbs down, please in the comments just let me know what was wrong with the video or what I can change to make it better. I do want to say that I was going to get a mic. I ordered one and it doesn't fit my phone, so I had to send it back because I wanted a wireless one, so I'm going to have to research all that again and start all over. So the mic is in the works of being able to get one. I just have to make sure I get one that I can use. So outside of that, I just want to tell you we are going to be doing this card right here, and I call it an interactive double flip card, and this is why. It's done with die cuts, and what you do to open your card, you just swing it open like, whoops, I gotta get it going, like this. I want to get it straight for you, and there's your card. So, anyway, so it flips up twice, and it's kind of interactive because you're moving it around, and there you go, and that's how it closes. It fits in a regular A2 envelope so that you can mail this. I did use, let me tell you, on my PDF, which is over on my Stamp Crazy VIP page, is all my PDFs for all of the videos that I do. It's telling you how to make this card, and then it's got pictures of it so you can see it opened and closed, what it looks like. It is good to see the video because it just helps with the putting together of it. Even though I have it in words, sometimes that doesn't make sense if you don't have a visual, especially if you are me, because I like visuals. So let me show you the die cuts that we're going to be using for this to make the card. Let me get my pieces out, and then I'll show you what dies go with what. We'll leave that one there, and then I'll put this one up here. So here's how our pieces work. These two will go together. This is our front, this is our middle, and this is our back, our biggest piece, and these are how they go together. So the dies that I used, out of the scalloped contour dies, I used this big one for the green, which is Evening Evergreen. I used the next size down for the Very Vanilla, and then I used the next size down from that for this Evening Evergreen over here. So you would cut three dies from here, 2 from Evening Evergreen and 1 from, I did Very Vanilla. You can get your biggest one and this one out of a half a sheet of cardstock, so just be your card size. And then what I did with my Very Vanilla, remember we cut this one out of this, plus we used in the stitched rectangles, we used the 4th, I count from the largest, the 4th going in, so 1, 2, 3, 4 would be this one. Let me get it up. And that is this piece right here. And then the 6th one, which is this piece right here. And you can get all 3 of these out of a half a sheet of the Very Vanilla or whatever color you would choose to do that. So that is our dies to make the component of our card right here. I do want to say that you can also put these back in my sleeves because I don't want to. Trying to be organized is what I'm trying to do. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it is not. What you can do with this card too, because this is more like what a 5 1/4 by 4 would be. So let me just bring in, I got a card sitting over here. I'll try to have it upside down. You could mount that on a card base and have a full-size card. Just mount that on a piece of, and then you could just swing that open. Of course, if that was glued down, it would stay, and you would have a card base behind it. Doing this one-handed is not the easiest, but then you could have this card base behind it. You could do it either way. I prefer just my die cuts, but it doesn't hurt to show you other ways because we all are not alike when we do this, which is the fun part about this. So, the stamp set that we're using, well, let me show you my, here's the other one I did. I used the goats. It says, "You're the goat, greatest of all times." And then it opens up and it says, I can't even open it tonight. "I got you a cake, but I ate it," and then "Happy birthday, you old goat." And just a cute little fun card. And then it just folds down like this to go in your envelope. And you can actually either put a piece of white on the back, or you can sign it back here, whatever, or you can sign it in under this. Either way you want to do it, okay? So the stamp set we're using tonight is Plentiful Plants, and we're using several of the stamps out of here. And then there's dies that match, and we are using, on this card, we're using this little pot here, and the eucalyptus, which is right here. I started saying, where'd it go? It's right here, and we're using that because I popped that up on the front. The rest of the card I want to keep flat so that it doesn't get tangled up in opening, okay? So let's get started on making our card. And I will have to change out some blocks in that because I have a lot of stamping to do. What I did was I built from the top up because I wanted to make sure I got my little piece done and then worked on. But we can take, I'm going to open this up. As you can see, I did the same colors all the way through. I used Evening Evergreen, Soft Succulent, Cinnamon Cider, and then I did use Gray Granite on this little pot right here. And the reason why I chose these colors, I was looking at the DSP that matches this stamp set. And I was going to use some DSP on there, but I decided not to. But I stayed in the color ranges that matched the DSP. So that's why I'm using that. Also, I want to show you something that this card was inspired by. I used to sell for another company years ago. And this card I made way back then. I used their scalloped ovals and their circles. We don't have a circle this big, so I chose to do something that we have in Stampin' Up that I could do this card. But this one, and as you can see, you can do circles or anything and do the same card. So that's how that was done, and that was my inspiration. I went through a box, found some old cards, and that was one of them that was in there. So anyway, I used it. So I'm hoping you guys can see. I think I'll set this over to this side. Maybe you can see it as I go. I'm going to set the 2 green pieces off out of the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and use these 3 pieces. Both of these are mounted on the Evening Evergreen scalloped dies. This one is freestanding. It's right here. So what we are going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiments. Now let me tell you, and this is just by, I had to practice on this, you know, making it and stuff, is make sure you have your sentiments on the two underlying pages that you have your sentiment down, so it's not covered up by the one that you've got put on top, okay, with your brad. So you want it down, and you want it just above your halfway line on these two. This one I'm going to stamp up in the corner. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my Evening Evergreen out, because all of those are stamped in Evening Evergreen. And I am going to stamp my first greeting. Right here on this one at the top. Just let that soak in a minute. There we go. I'm going to let that sit there. And I'm actually going to have to trade off here on some blocks, so bear with me, because I just had too many stamps that I was using and not enough of the right size blocks that I wanted to use. So now we're going to stamp, well, To a Dear Friend will be our next one. I can go ahead and put that on here. I always get it crooked. I don't know why I do that and turn it over. I know I'm going to be doing this anyway. I just kind of lay it out straight, stamp it down, or what's straight to me, which is not always straight. And then on this one, I'm going to come up a little bit what would be the halfway point, and I'm going to stamp To a Dear Friend. Okay, we have that one done. And then our last one that we have to do is Thank You, and it is right here on this block. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that over here. I'm going to pull it over in front of me a little bit. And there's that. So we have all of our greetings on here now. So now what we are going to do is I'm going to finish this top one first. So what I'm going to do is I need a little piece of scrap paper for a second. So we're going to bring that out. I'm going to close this just for a minute because I would get in the wrong one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little piece of greenery here that's just, it's like a little, I don't know, like a little bow of greenery. I'm going to ink it up and I'm going to stamp off with it. I want it really light. So I'm just going to stamp that off, and I'm going to stamp that right under my saying on the front of my card there. So that's going to be my front one. And we're not going to be using this one anymore, so we're going to put it away. And then for saving time, I went ahead and stamped the little pot and the eucalyptus, which is in this stamp set. It's this little pot and the eucalyptus, and then I used the dies to cut it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this right here, because I want to make sure that I get my pot on there, and my to where my eucalyptus is going to show. So let me get a glue dot, and I'm just going to lay that on top of that right there. Because all I want to do is I'm using this just as a placement for right now. Okay, and I'm going to take my pot And I want it to be right down like that. Okay, so there we go. I now know where I want my placement. I'll move that a minute. Just scoot it over a little bit. And I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to use some dimensionals. And I'm going to put 3 on here because I want it to really hold it together. And like I said, this is the only one I'm going to use dimensionals on because I want everything else to lay flat. So I'm going to go ahead, take those off, and I'm going to place this right here. And then this will be the front of my card. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that right here onto this piece of my evening evergreen scalloped. So you just want to center that in there and let it dry. So just kind of rub on that, make sure you have it, and set that aside. Okay, let's finish stamping these two. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do our, I'm going to lay this to the side. I don't think I'm going to need it anymore. Put the glue up for a few minutes. We are going to use the cinnamon cider and do these 2 flower pots, since there's one on each one of them. Again, we're using cinnamon cider, and we're using the clay pot, which is right here. And I want that in a little bit because I don't want too much of it to show on the outside, so I'm just going to put it right here. And I'm going to do the same thing right here. And there's my 2 pots. So as you can see, this can go pretty fast. Of course, a lot of it depends on what stamp sets you are using to do it, and that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do my last, no, I'm not going to do my last pot yet. Let's not do that. I'm going to bring in my stamp that is it's got 5 leaves on it. Okay, we're going to bring that in. We are going to use our evening evergreen, and we're going to stamp it full strength. But I do not want this stem here to show, so I'm going to go halfway up these leaves. So I'm going to put it on here sideways, and then just ink half of those leaves. Okay. The one, I think I got too much on, but we'll see. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp that right here on my pot. So there you go. We've got that stamped. Now let's stamp. I use this, it's like a little vine that's just kind of falling over, and I use the evening evergreen on it, and we're going to stamp that real quick with that. And there we go. That's our pot for, that's our second piece that's done. Now we'll go ahead and finish our 3rd piece, and we don't have any of the evening evergreen on it, so we're going to close it back. And what we're going to do first, let's go ahead and close this. We're done with this. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to take this 3-leaf, and I'm going to stick it into this pot, and therefore I don't want to get this stem that's down here, so I'm going to turn this, and I'm just going to ink it, and then place where I inked it. And then I am not going to re-ink. I'm going to bring it, and I think, let's do it this way. And we've got a little bit of flower in our leaf in there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the gray granite and we're going to take this little rounded pot and we're going to stick it right here. And that's our little rounded pot. And then we're going to take this greenery once more and we're going to go into the soft succulent and we're just going to add the greenery to this. And there we go. These pots are so easy to do. I love them. I really enjoyed working with that. I just got this in and I thought, oh, I'm going to play. Sometimes you just have to play when you get something in. Okay, now we have everything stamped. We don't have to do any more stamping, so let's close up all these pads. We don't need those. And then the next thing we are going to do is we're going to glue the green, this green, and this together. We want it to dry for a second. And I'm just gluing inside that stitch line, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this in here and center it as best I can. I'll turn that over and just kind of rub it so all the glue is on my paper. Okay, I'm getting some things out of my way. I'm doing a little bit of housekeeping so I can put things together for you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is put our card together. Now this is where you might want to pay a little bit of attention. It just helps. You could lay this right here, and I find it easier. We're going to use two. We're going to use a piercing mat. And if you'll notice, I got one side with holes in it. That's when I'm using these brads. And I use silver brads because I used, oh, let me get them. They're at the other end of my table. Stampin' Up has brought out black and white brads, but I have so many brads from previous years of all the crafting I do that I wanted to use silver. So this is a non-Stampin' Up item right here, but that's okay. Use whatever brads that you have. There's no sense in buying more if you have a lot. Spend that money on something else you want worse. Okay? So I find it, let me get my mat back. So I set this on my mat. And I find it easier to center this in here so I can see where I'm at in my, up here. And I have this upside down. So I've got this one face up towards me to where I can read it. Then I have this one upside down, like so. Now let me tell you, while that sits there, it's going to move a little bit on me. I'll have to do it when I get to it. I use my pick tool that has the end on it that's a point, because it's a little bit thicker so I can punch a bigger hole in it for my brad. I do have this little thing that's just a piercing tool, and it doesn't have as big of a roundness right here. So I do use my pick tool for this. But what I want to tell you about these dies is there are 7 or 13 humps across here. If you count this one and this one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's going to be the same when we get to this one too. There's 13. So I want to go into the 7th one because it's going to leave me 6 on each side. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this is lined up, centered, as centered as I can get it on my card. I'm going to count 7 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The middle of this one, when I come down, is going to be the center of my card. So I want to come down over this stitched piece to make sure I get a good hole in there that it won't pull off. So I'm going to come down far enough, and I'm going to punch a hole. I didn't go all the way down this thing, just to where it started to get a little thicker. And you can see my hole in the card. Yes, you can see it right there. Why I like my piercing tool for this is I go ahead and I drop my brad in that hole, since it's big enough to take it. Push it down. Then I can pick this up and my brad stays right there. I can turn it over. And I can open them. There we go. Now when you open this, you don't want to push the center down as much. You do want to get these little ends down, because you want that to be to where that's going to turn, okay? You don't want it so tight it won't turn, because then it'll tear your paper, okay? So you want it like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this up, and see, there it is on my card right there. I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to center this, turning it upside down. Okay? Now with this one, we've got the Very Vanilla up here, and our scallops are down here. So what I can do is I can come into my 7th scallop mark and come down, and I will come in between these two, above this little stitch here and below this little stitch here, and make my mark for my brad. So let's count 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Finally hit the center of that and come up to about here. And I'm just going to punch a hole like I did before. I'm going to take a brad. And sometimes they're hard to get a hold of. And then I'm going to stick that in the center there. Pull that up. And there again, I'm going to take that and just push these in down a little bit. Just don't want them sticking up and get caught. And then I'm going to turn that up. And that is our card. Okay? So now the last thing we're going to do, let's turn this way, and it's that way it's there. Move that brad out of the way. I'm going to take about 4 inches of ribbon or so. I don't really measure. And I lost my scissors I had here. They're right over here. What was I doing that? I moved everything around. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. We're going to cut about 4 inches or so of ribbon. And I'm going to take, and let me put this on here to where you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to use my pick tool again, and I'm going to pick up that and put it on the ribbon, and I'm going to take my ribbon and fold it over on that, okay? Okay, and then what I'm going to do is on that 7th hump again, we're going to go 2, 4, 6, 7, which is this one right here. I'm going to place that in there at the 7th hump. And I'm kind of going to just press down on where that little glue mark is there. I'm going to lay that down. I'm going to take my pick tool, and you want to go through the ribbon and all, and I'm going to do that on that scallop. Okay? And then I will take it. It's hard to get it through that ribbon. Let's see if we did. I think we did. So let's pick all that up. Flip it over. And this one, you can press down on it. And what I do is I take my mat out from underneath of it. Just take the end of my pick tool, the roundness of it, and just press down on the back of that. And it gets that in there really good. And then let's close it all up. And that's our card. That is how easy this is. And I call it an interactive because you're moving it around. I called it a double flip because you have these two that flip over. That flips on top of that one. This one flips on top of that one. So it's a double flip. And it's a fun fold. That's how I got my name for this, because I really didn't see. I was trying to see if I could find anything out on YouTube like it. And either I wasn't saying it right or I just couldn't find anything. So I thought, well, I have to name it myself. So that's what I call it. I think it's a great card. Again, like I said, if you want the PDF to that, which is a great thing to have, you can jump on over to my Stamp Crazy VIP page on Facebook. You can just ask to join that group. I'll approve you. You can go into the files, and any of the videos that you have seen here on YouTube, the files are over there. The PDFs are over there that you can see. My earlier ones did not have pictures with them, but I now try to put pictures with every one of my PDFs so that you have them. It's easy. I'm a visual person, so I should have been doing that all along because I like to see what I'm doing. So anyway, here are my 3 cards that I made, and like I said, this just fits straight down in an envelope. You don't have to bend anything or that to be able to make it work. So I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making them a whole lot. You can use any size dies, any shape dies that you would like, as long as you can get it to fit in the envelope that you would like. Just go for it. And like I said on my video, if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't and you do a thumbs down, please leave me a comment and let me know how I can better my videos, because I would like to do that for you. And other than that, I wish you all to have a happy, nice day, night, whatever time it is you're watching this. I usually end up making them at night, so I want to say night, but I don't always mean that. But at whatever time of day it is, I just hope you're having a good one, and I will see you back with my next video. Have a great day. Bye.